And you are looking live at Sold Out MetLife Stadium, where today the 16-0 and playoff-bound New York Giants are taking on the 0-16 Dallas Cowboys. And why are the Dallas Cowboys 0-16? Because they suck. Welcome to the Gridiron. Anybody out there at all going to spend a little bit of time with me here this evening? Thank you. I greatly appreciate it. Or if anybody out there is going to spend any time at all watching the replay of this, once again, thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. It means so much to me. Thank you. I'm going to try to go about 30 minutes here tonight, shoot my mouth off for about 30 minutes. Anybody got anything to say, please feel free. Fire away, throw it in the chat box. I try to check on the chat box like every 5 or 10 minutes or so. So, I see anything in there, I try to respond to it as fast as I can. So please feel free, fire away. And plus, sometimes it's just nice to talk. I go rambling on for like half an hour or so. Sometimes it's just nice to talk to somebody else. So please feel free, fire away, throw a comment in the chat box there. Before I get started, anybody out there wants to help support my channel, it would mean so much to me. In the description box below, there's a top link in the description box. Takes you to my membership page. I got 3 different membership levels. First one's called the Saquon. The second one's called the Lawrence Taylor. And the third membership level is called the Gridiron. Each one's got their own little perks to them and all. So if you want to help support my channel out, it would mean so much to me. And I thank you in advance. Thank you. Next, if you are subscribed to my channel, thank you. I can use all the support I can get, guys. But if you're not, please go down below, hit the subscribe button and the bell icon. That way, next time I go live or put a video out, you'll be notified. And it's free of charge. What do you got to lose, right? But if you are subscribed to my channel, thank you so much. I greatly appreciate it. And then finally, in the description box below, there's 2 more links. There's all links everywhere. There's 2 Facebook links, okay? The top Facebook link, takes you to my Facebook page, my group, okay? It's called the New York Giants Gridiron. It's a group, okay? We have over 2,800 members in the group, all right? It's just not me. I mean, I put stuff in there. The members put stuff in there every day, so I try to put at least 10 different things in there every day if I can, okay? Whether it's something making fun of the Eagles, something making fun of the Cowboys, a picture, a post, a video, anything. I try to get a bunch of things in there every day. So between me and the members, there's a ton of stuff going in there every day, okay? Now, the second Facebook link, okay, takes you to my Facebook page, okay? It's called the New York Giants The Gridiron. Basically, my YouTube channel, my Facebook group, and my Facebook page is all called the New York Giants The Gridiron. That way, I always say in every video, that way a moron like me, okay, I can remember. I don't have to start, what's my group? Is it different than the page? It's all called the same thing. But in the page, I'm the administrator, so I'm the only one who posts anything in there, okay? Right now, we have 948 people who like it. We're getting close to 1,000 people who like the page. Very good. And we have over 3,700 people who are following the page, okay? Now, it's the same thing, okay, is with the group. I try to put stuff in there every day, okay? At least 10 different things every day. Now, if I do put stuff in there, I tried my best not to commingle them, okay? Basically, whatever I put in the group, I don't put in the page, okay? Whatever I put in the page, I don't put, vice versa, so I'll mix it up, okay? So, if you go to the page, all right, and if you like it and become a member of it, okay, and you go to the group and you follow them and you become a member and all that stuff, between the 2, the page and the group, you get a ton of New York Giants information every day. And like I say, and in every video, if you're not satisfied, you get your money back guarantee. All right, well, all that stuff said and done, out of the way with. Now, I saw there was an article here. I mean, apparently, they got the Giants to win total at 8.5. Okay, for next season. All right, so I guess that's the betting line as of right now. Be interesting to see if it changes after the draft. What they I guess that'll let you know what they think of the betting line thinks of the Giants draft. If it's 8.5 now and the Giants pick 10 guys in the draft and it goes down to like 7.5 or something like that, yeah, that means that they think the Cowboys and the Eagles draft was just so superior to the Giants that there's no way the Giants are gonna, catch those or beat either one of those teams, or they just think the Giants draft is just horrible. But I mean, if after the draft that they're still at like 8.5, maybe it goes up to 9. Well, maybe they think the Giants had a good draft. But I mean, it's so difficult. I mean, to go and this far in advance. I mean, you have no idea at all, none. What's going to happen. Now, one thing I always remember, Bob Papa, he's the radio voice of the Giants. He's been doing it for, oh my God, a long time, right? Very, knowledgeable, very up to date on all the Giant current affairs and all that stuff. Really freaking fantastic guy, great voice and everything, right? One thing he always says, okay, and it's very, very true, okay, is so much. It's not so much when you I'm sorry, it's not maybe so much who you play, but it's like when you play them. Okay, for many reasons. I mean, the team could be banged up. The starting quarterback could miss a game or two. You could be coming fresh off of a bye. And the other, it could be like in the week 9 or 10 or something, you're off of a bye, you get some guys back, or you know what I mean? And the other team hasn't had a bye yet, and it's week 9 or 10, they're kind of dinged up and everything. Could be the end of the season. Now, I mean, now just say the Eagles, like last year, the last game of the season, say they had the number 1 seed all wrapped up and everything. Well, they might have rested some. They certainly wouldn't have Jalen Hurts out there because he was injured. I mean, they would just be stone cold freaking crazy to have Jalen Hurts out there in week 18 if they didn't need that game. Okay. Now, the Giants didn't need the game either, so the Giants had their second and third string players in there. You know what I mean? So if it was our second and third against their second and third, maybe we might have won. Who knows? But a lot of it's got to do, it's so difficult because you don't know who's injured, right? You don't know. I mean, it's just, you don't even know what the schedule is. You have no idea what the schedule is. It doesn't come out till what is it, like right after the draft or during the draft or right just before the draft. But we're not going to know who's playing what, until late in this, for another couple of weeks. I mean, some teams, they're used to like the Atlanta Falcons, warm weather teams or indoor teams. Well, if they got to play the Packers in the last game of the season outside the Lambeau and it's snowing out, well, a little advantage to the Packers, so it all depends. I mean, a couple case in points here. One of them is like, when did we play the Lions last year? Okay, the Lions started the season, started 1-6. Okay, not that they were ever really a total horrible team. Okay. They had a bunch of close games. Okay. They had a bunch of close games, but one of them, I mean, they did get blown out by the Patriots. New England, they lost 29-0 to the Patriots. Okay. That was I remember seeing some of that game on DirecTV. That was an ugly game, but, they started 1-6, the Detroit Lions. They finished 9-8. So basically, they went 8-2 in their last 10 games. The first 7, they were 1-6. So they were either 1-6 or they're 8-2. When did we play the Lions? Well, we played them during the 8-2 run. Okay, I mean, just because they're on an 8-2 run doesn't mean they don't even bother showing up. I mean, anybody. Yeah. Let's say, I mean, The Lions, they lost the opening game. It was a good game to the Eagles. Really, really, really good. 38-35. Then they beat the Commanders, right? So the Lions were 1-1 at one point. Then they lost the next 5 games in a row. They lost to Minnesota. They lost to the Seahawks, and they lost to the Patriots. And they lost 24-6. I mean, you look. I mean, in back-to-back weeks, they scored 6 points. Okay, they got shut out against the Patriots, and then against the Dallas Cowboys, they scored 6 points. They lost 24-6 to the Cowboys, right? Then they lost a tough one to the Dolphins, right? So they were 1-6. It's like basically just write them off. Write them off. Don't even bother showing up anymore, Lions. That way nobody gets hurt. You don't get your feelings hurt. It's another lost season. Just mail it in now. You guys stink. Face the facts. Your season's over. Mail it in. Maybe you'll get another number 1 pick. You'll get another really good draft pick, and then maybe next season, maybe you can try to win some games. Nope. They were 1-6, and they wound up 9-8, and they almost wound up making it to the playoffs. They were 1-6, and they almost made it to the playoffs. Now, the Giants were lucky. They were 9-7-1. They say if the Giants lost that, they were happy, that they tied. If they were 9-8, they wouldn't have made the playoffs. Because the Lions had the head-to-head against the Giants, right? But the Giants played the Lions in the second half of the season, whatever, during that 10-game stretch when the Lions went 8-2, okay? Then you look at, like, say, the Colts, okay? The Colts had, they had Ellinger, they had Foles, they had Ryan, they had all kinds of quarterbacks in there. I mean, Foles, let's see, Foles had 2 starts. Foles had 2 starts. Ellinger had 3 starts, and Matt Ryan had 12. So they started 3 different quarterbacks. Basically, not like so much because this guy got hurt, and they would put this guy in, and that guy got hurt. But they had different guys in there starting different games. Okay. How did they? When did we play them? Okay. Now they started. Actually, they started 3-2-1. Okay, 3-2-1. Okay, they actually had a winning record. They wound up going. 3-2-1. They wound up going 1-10. They lost 10 of their last 11 games. So when did the Giants play them? The Giants play them in the beginning of the season when they were 3-2-1, right? Or did they play them when they were 1-11? They played them when they were 1-11. Right, that's why they lost to the Lions, but they beat and when did they play them? They played them the second to last season of the game. Their season was over with. They were 4-10-1 coming into the game. Surely doesn't mean the Giants were going to win no matter what. The Giants don't even have to play, but it really, really looked like the Colts were kind of like Okereke didn't. He had like 312 tackles in the game. Okay, that guy didn't mail it in, but you can kind of see it was not a real pretty game, right? To say the least. The Giants pretty much had their way. 38-10, they beat them. Okay. So, a lot of it's got to do is, when do you play them? What I'm saying, when during the schedule are you playing them? As I said, especially a lot of it's got to do with injuries. Now, let me go back to another thing here. All right. You realize, the Jacksonville Jaguars won their division, okay? They were 9-8. The Tennessee Titans, which won the division, passed, I don't know, however many seasons. They were second place. They were 7-10, okay? Basically, the only reason, pretty much, the Jaguars won and the division, and you got to give the Jaguars a lot of credit. A lot of credit. They went into Kansas City. They lost a tough playoff game. Good playoff game. You tip your cap to Jacksonville on the road in Kansas City. They did a phenomenal job. Came up a little short, but that was a really good, exciting game. I was very, very lucky to be able to watch that game. But Tennessee, it was 7-10. Jacksonville won the division at 9-8. Now, why? Well, obviously, it doesn't matter what your health is. You still have to go out and you still have to perform and win the football games, regardless. That's what Jacksonville did. And that's what Tennessee did not do. However, okay, there's always 2 sides to every coin, right? Or most of the time there are. Jacksonville, according to mangameslost.com, okay, I got a subscription to them, all right? They were by far the Jaguars, by far the least injured team in all football. Okay, they lost by far the least amount of man games lost due to injury. Okay, and the Tennessee Titans were by far the most injured team in all football. They lost the most by far man games lost. Okay, due to injuries. Okay, so you got Jacksonville won by basically 2 games. Right, they were 9-8, and the Titans were 7-10. So they won by 2 games. Okay, but why? Okay, as I said, you still have to win the games regardless. I get that and all and everything, but injuries. Right, Jacksonville, it wasn't even close. They were so far. They were like 20 or 30 man games lost ahead of everybody. As far as being least injured, and the Titans were absolutely massacred by injuries. Now I don't care. Almost. Any team, one of the things with the Eagles, they had a phenomenal, and I've said this, I can't stand the Eagles. Can't stand the fans, all that stuff, everything. But I've said it multiple times. Okay. The Eagles, to my money, okay. If you look at their roster, okay, we're without question, the best all-around roster in all of football. Without question. Good solid quarterback, good running back play, best offensive line in football. Goddard, they went out and got Brown, which might have been the best pickup or trade or whatever last season, because they gave the Eagles that extra weapon. And man, what a freaking beast Brown is, huh? You got Smith, you got Goddard, you got Brown, the offensive line, the defensive line. They were at like 342,000 sacks. They had a guy. Everybody, I even had sacks for the Eagles. Everybody had sacks. They were pulling people out of the stands, putting them in line, and it was crazy. Because of us and Dave Gettleman, they had wound up with 2 phenomenal cornerbacks, right? Because we had Bradbury, we couldn't afford to pay him, right? So they had Slayton, they had Bradbury, the defensive front. So the Eagles, without question, were the best overall team. Okay, came up a little short, but one of the reasons also that too was because They I think they were like the 4th least injured team in all football. If the Eagles had the injuries the Giants had, okay, the Eagles had DeVonta Smith out there and Goddard, they had Brown out there. Well, we're throwing it to like our 7th. Darius Slayton was like the 7th guy on the depth chart at the start of last season. Right, Kadarius Toney, we trade him away. Kenny Golladay, he's on the bench. Sterling Shepard, he gets injured. Right, Colin Johnson, he got injured in training camp. Wan'Dale Robinson, he got injured. Right? All these injuries, and everything. So Jalen Hurts running around out there, right, trying to throw it to his 7th best wide receiver and all. Things might be a little bit different, right? But they didn't have any injuries. Okay, they had Lane Johnson, I think, missed the last 2 games. They really didn't have many injuries at all. They were like the 4th least team injured as far. Okay. So, a lot of it's got to do with injury. So a lot of it's not so much like, who you're playing. You can't look, we're playing the Cowboys in Dallas in October. Jeez. We haven't beat Dallas. We can't beat Dallas. We're not going to win that game. Well, don't say that. It would have been nice if we beat them when we first played them last year when they had the backup quarterback in there, right? But, you don't know who's going to be playing. You don't know who's not going to be playing, who's going to be injured, this, that, and the other. You just don't know, okay? Now, another thing is that, if you look at the Giants, okay, they were 9-7-1. All right. Where are we at here? All right. I think if I remember, I think there were 9, including the playoffs. I think there were 9-4-1 in 1-score games. Okay, now basically, the one was the tie obviously, of course, against the Commanders, but in the other, they had 13 games that were actually 1-loss games that were decided, okay, by 1 score. That's tough. To win 9 out of 13, a bounce of the ball here, a bad call there. Like, let's look at the second game, okay, that we wound up playing against the Commanders, okay, where we wound up winning 20-12, right? Heineke drops back to pass, throws the ball. I can't remember who the wide receiver was, right? It was a Flott or Holmes. Maybe it was Darnay Holmes. It was like draped all over the guy. Looked like he was like trying to rape him or something like that before the ball got there. Ball's incomplete, looking around, I mean, you look at the film, I mean, the replay, that was pass interference. Didn't get called, right? That went to the Giants' favor, okay? Not saying that without question the Commanders would have tied the game up and won it or something like that, because that would have gave them a first down. It was under a minute to go, I believe it was. So they still would have scored a touchdown. Then they would have got the 2-point conversion just to tie it up, just to send it to overtime, just to win in overtime. Okay. So it doesn't guarantee, just if the ref, pulls the flag out and calls the proper call, which would have been pass interference in the end zone, gave the Commanders first and goal at the 1 yard line, certainly does not mean that they still would have won the game, but would have gave him a better chance. But I mean, bounce of the ball here, right? Like, also, let's look at that once again. A bounce of the ball, okay? Let's look at Kayvon Thibodeau's, sack of the Washington, Taylor Heineke, in that second game, the one basically wasn't for the playoffs, but it was like whoever would have the head, heads up, in the playoff race, because the Eagles were in, the Cowboys were pretty much in, the Giants and the Commanders, whoever won that one had the leg up because they had the head-to-head against each other, right? So that was a huge, huge game. Well, let's look at the bounce of the ball, The Giants, Kayvon Thibodeau comes in there, strip sacks the ball. Well, he winds up getting the fumble, bounces right to him, and he falls in the end zone for a touchdown. Well, just say he hits the ball. Say the ball bounces another direction. That's all it's got to do. And one of the offensive linemen falls on the ball. Now say Washington has to punt the ball. They punt the ball to the Giants. You realize, I mean, that was, the Giants, I think, let me look here. They won 20-12. The Giants had the 2 touchdowns in the game. Kayvon Thibodeau's 1 yard fumble return, and then Saquon Barkley had the 3 yard rush. So the Giants only had one other touchdown in that game. All right. So, but what I'm saying is that if you take that one touchdown away, the Giants got 7 points on that one. Say after Kayvon hips the ball out of knocks the ball out of Heineke's hand. If the ball bounces a different direction, gets recovered by Washington, there's a touchdown the Giants don't have. Now the Giants, you take that 7 points off the board. Now the Giants are up 13-12. Washington's got the ball. They're down. The Giants offense really didn't do much of anything in that game. They had 1 touchdown the whole game, right? Did not do very well at all. But I'm saying, when Washington had the ball down right by the goal line at the end of the game, if the score is 13-12, they're not throwing the ball in the end zone on 4th down to try to get a touchdown. They don't need a touchdown. They just need a field goal. It's the Giants are up 13-12. Why are they throwing the end zone on 4th down for? No, 4th down, we're kicking a field goal, right? Then Washington would have been up 15-13. Giants would have maybe a little bit of time to try to get a field goal range, but say they didn't. Giants lose. Giants don't make it to the playoffs, right? So a bounce of the ball here, a bounce of the ball there, a call here, an injury there. It's really, really, really difficult, to and I said, and the other thing too, I mean, they're coming up with, win-loss totals, And the Giants haven't even had the draft yet. So, to really come up with a good, feel for what the Giants are going to do. I mean, are they going to exceed 8.5? Now, because the schedule is going to be a little more difficult this year, because they're not playing the AFC South. I mean, where the Colts, and the Texans, right? I mean, this year, the Dolphins are pretty good. The Jets are pretty good, right? Patriots, but the Bills, we got to play Who else we got to play? We got to play the 49ers, right? We got to play the Seahawks again. I know we got to play the Raiders. Let's see who else we got to play. We got to play the Jets, the Patriots, the Rams. We got to play the Cardinals, the Seahawks. We got to play the Packers again. Now you don't know if Rodgers going to be there or not. Now we got to play the Saints with Derek Carr there, the Raiders, the Dolphins, and the Bills, and then the 49ers, right? So it's a little more difficult this year than it is last year. So, I mean, technically, the Giants can actually become a better team, talent-wise and all. And because they were 9-4-1 in one-score games last year, they can actually be a better team and still not improve on their record, right? I'm not saying they would wind up being 9-7-1, but I mean, they could, say they go, I don't know. Yeah, I get, 9-8, right? And they can have a better team, but still not really improve on their record. So, but there's an article here I saw. It was on Giants Country. And it goes over. It says that the NFL roster building season is about to head to its most important phase in a few short weeks, the draft, where teams will be adding finishing touches to their 2023 lineup. So, be interesting to see if after the draft that this line changes at all for the Giants. According to FanDuel Sportsbook, the Giants, who delivered a surprising 9-7-1 season and a postseason win and berth, all right, have an over-under win total of 8.5 wins, as compared to the Cowboys, who only have 9.5. Okay, and the Eagles are only 10.5 wins. Interesting. That would seem to suggest the Giants still have a ways to go before closing the gap with their two divisional rivals. Although FanDuel does list the Giants ahead of the Commanders, who are only their win total is 6.5. Okay. And looking at the upcoming slate of opponents, the Giants have a good chance as anyone of topping their projected over-under total. As noted, there is still the draft general manager, Joe Schoen, has 10 picks to further fill out the roster. The Giants have also had most of the coaching staff back, which is huge. Okay. Except for DeAndre Smith and Tony Sparano Jr. Okay. Here it says, here's a very early look at those teams on the Giants' schedule and where each opponent currently stands ahead in the draft. All right. They got the Cowboys. All right. The Cowboys, they won 2 one-score games from the Giants. Now, the Giants were winning in both of those games. They were winning at halftime, I believe, right? The Thanksgiving Day game. And the first game they played, I think they were up 13-10 or 13-6. Was it 13-6? They were beating them. Saquon ran in from about 30 yards out, put the Giants up like 13-10, 13-6, 13-7, something like that. And then, of course, then the Cowboys scored, I think, the next 17 points. And then the Giants got, I think, a late score. But it was over with by them. But let's see. It says here, without running back Ezekiel Elliott, who was cut in a salary cap related move, and with questions regarding whether Tony Pollard's leg will be full speed, plus the departure of tight end Dalton Schultz of free agency, who have bolstered their run defense, should be better equipped to handle their division rival in what we think might be a split series. Well, I mean, that's one thing you got to do. I mean, they've only won one game last year in the division. I mean, they were 1-4-1. I really think they got to be at least, I mean, it would be nice if they can win at least 3 games, 3-3. 3-3 would be great. Now, however you're going to do it, beat the Commanders twice and beat the Cowboys once or whatever. But 3 wins in the division would really go a long way, especially to help Giants get in a playoff berth. Then you got the Commanders. The Giants shared their lone tie last year with the Commanders, who, based on the stat sheet, probably should have won that game after outperforming the Giants in passing yards, rushing yards oh yeah. The difference in 2023 that warrants 2 Giant victories in each team's trajectory. Giants head coach Brian Daboll will be in his second season, giving the offense a chance to settle into familiar position. But the Commanders coach Ron Rivera is entering his 4th season, and he's on the hot seat. Oh yeah, without question. Set for failing to deliver consistent results. Washington is also without a definitive quarterback. Oh yeah. So the Giants should be better on both sides of the ball, to where they come away with a sweep of the season series for the first time since 2018. Well, as I said, a lot of it's going to also depend upon injuries as well. Now they got the Eagles. The Eagles dominated the Giants in 2022, winning all 3 games, including the divisional round playoff contest. While the Eagles did lose some talent in free agency, the core of their roster is returning mostly intact. And it will. But, I mean, once Jalen Hurts is going to want $312 million a year, and then you can start waving some of those high-priced players. Bye-bye. Bye-bye, Eagles. Bye-bye. Jalen wants his money. Bye-bye, right? Because they can't afford him. Much like the Cowboys, the Eagles' rushing attack killed the Giants. In Gainwell and Mike Sanders combined for 2 touchdowns is in the playoffs and more than 200 yards rushing. Their efforts also contributed to the Eagles dominating time of possession, commanding 35 minutes in the playoff game. Just killed the Giants. Sanders signed with the Panthers. But with an elite offensive line, Philadelphia can plug just about any runner into the scheme and find success. Yep, that's true. But, I mean, as I said, you're looking to rise. Lane Johnson, he's getting up there in age. He only has so many more good years left in him. Kelsey, he could retire anytime. Jalen Hurts, he's going to want to get paid, okay? And when he gets paid and he's going to, his salary is going to go up to $50 million or so a season, you can start, as I said, you can start waving some of those high-priced salary players. Bye-bye. All right. Then the Giants got to play the Jets, all right? It says if rumors ring true and the Jets acquire long-term Packers quarterback Aaron Rodgers, then good for them. But even with Rodgers, that doesn't mean the Jets will have the upper hand. Not only will the Jets have sacrificed significant capital, which is true, to acquire the 39-year-old, but he's coming off one of his worst seasons. Now, let's not forget, the Giants beat him last season in London. Okay? But the Jets do have a decent team. All right. Then you got the Patriots. So, the Patriots, Mac Daddy Jones seems like he's running out of favor in there and with New England. Looks like they might be looking for a new quarterback. So, all is not well in New England, where there have been reports of head coach Bill Belichick having grown tired of waiting for quarterback Mac Daddy Jones to blossom. There have also been reports that Belichick might consider another option at quarterback. Still, this is Belichick's coach team, and the one-time Giants defensive coordinator is not one to roll over and go away, even though his teams have missed the postseason in 2 of the last 3 seasons. So, the Eagles, I'm not the Eagles, the Patriots, they'll be a little, I think they're looking for a quarterback. Then we got to play the Rams. Okay. Now, the Bills are due for the Rams after for the 2021 Super Bowl. According to Over the Cap, the Rams freed up $58.2 million in cap space this year, more than any other team, after cutting ties with Jalen Ramsey, Bobby Wagner, and Leonard Floyd. And as for the remaining star quarterback, Matthew Stafford is nearing the end of his career and suffering a debilitating elbow injury last season. The team is reportedly trying to trade wide receiver Allen Robinson as well, okay, after his disappointing 2022 season, okay? So if the Rams are entering a full rebuild, as appears to be the case, the Giants should be in favor to win that matchup. Then we have the Arizona Cardinals. All right. See, sticking with theme of rebuilding franchises, the Arizona Cardinals, okay, have the lowest expected total wins of any team. Okay, so Arizona has a new head coach, okay, after firing Cliff Kingsbury. They also have a new general manager and one big-time question mark at quarterback, where incumbent Kyler Murray is recovering from a late season ACL, okay? There are also reports Arizona looking to move star DeAndre Hopkins, right? So, Kyler Murray's always had, good wide receivers to throw to, but, if they can't keep these guys and all, he's coming back from an injury and everything like that, they could be quite questionable. They did not have a good season last year. Then we got to play the Seahawks, okay? Few teams make that, and check this out, because they get the Broncos first pick in the first round pick, right? Few teams make the playoffs and wind up with the top 5 pick following year. Enter the Seahawks, who are after trading quarterback Russell Wilson to the Broncos for a haul of picks and then benefiting from Geno Smith's comeback season, who are now in a uniquely strong position in 2023. The Seahawks hold the 5th and the 20th pick overall in the draft. They also reunited with linebacker Bobby Wagner and retained key components of a top 10 scoring offense. Okay. So, Seattle won 5 of its last 6 games against the Giants, including the game last year. But Seattle did not walk up and down the field against the Giants. The Giants' offense was not very good at all that day. Richie James's 2 fumbles on the punts led to 10 points for the Seahawks, okay? But they won that game without question. Solidly, fair and square. But, the Seahawks should be decent again this year. But once again, just because on paper they look good, when are we playing them, right? Is Geno Smith injured? Is Tyler Lockett injured, right? Is Metcalf injured? If those guys are injured and they're not playing, well, we might be looking good then. Right. Then the Packers. We're going to play the Packers. Packers are a building team in denial. After failing to make the playoffs last season, the Packers will likely turn to 3-year backup Jordan Love. Holy cow, right? If Aaron Rodgers ain't there, right? Good luck there. Their front office has also struck out on multiple player acquisitions, including an attempt to take star wide receiver DJ Moore from the Panthers last year. Right now, it's fair to question if the Packers have an identity or are stuck between being a contender versus a team in transition. Then we got to play the Saints, okay? In an otherwise downtrodden division, the Saints look formidable in 2023. Well, because they got Derek Carr, right? He should, here it says, they should breathe new life into an offense with impressive firepower, obviously including Michael Thomas and Alvin Kamara, okay? And the Saints also boast a top 10 defense too. So that should be a good one. Collectively, the Saints will make a Caesars Superdome an especially tough venue this year. The Giants split road games in 2022, however, going 4-4. However, New York's victories were close calls, and the teams were crushed in the point differential at minus 11. So, as I said, once again, it's tough. Any close games, the Giants will just win 9 out of 13 once again. No, that's not easy to say. That's really tough to do, right? Then we got to play the Raiders. Carr's former team, the Raiders, should be less formidable. After going 6-11 last year, the team brought an injury-prone quarterback, Jimmy G. Once again, when are we playing the Raiders, right? Because there's a good chance Jimmy G is going to get injured and he might be out once again for the season. Or he might get injured and he might miss 4 or 5 games, right? When do the Giants play him? Are we playing him, the first game of the season when Jimmy G is healthy? Are we going to play him in the middle of the season? Maybe Jimmy G's a little banged up. Or are we going to play him at the end of the season? Maybe Jimmy G hurt his knee and is going to miss the last 8 games of the season. When are you playing the Raiders? Right? Let's see. Garoppolo has played 1 complete season in his 9-year NFL career. 1 out of 9. But to his credit, he made the most of his availability, throwing for 3,978 yards and 27 touchdowns. Okay. Should Garoppolo remain healthy and be effective for head coach Josh McDaniels, who is not a good coach, he'll be without one of the Raiders' best weapons, tight end Darren Waller. Okay, now a Giant. And if Waller is healthy, Waller's going to want to go off on them. You know that. Waller's just going to be turn to Daniel, dude, throw me the freaking ball. That's what he's going to say to Daniel, right? Let's see. Defensively, the Raiders are under Patrick Graham, okay, and they gave up the 7th most points per game last season and fell in the middle of the road for the offensive production, creating a negative point differential. The early odds probably favor the Giants if they continue on the upswing as they did last year. Then we're going to have to play the Dolphins, all right? And, of course, my goodness, with Tyreek Hill and Waddle, right? But on the defensive side, all right, the Dolphins recently acquired one of the league's top corners, Jalen Ramsey, to support on one of their few weak spots, okay? So look for the Dolphins, to be, obviously, who the quarterback's going to be. Is Tua going to be able? Is he going to stay healthy? So you got to look for that, right? While the Giants have added some offensive weapon, it remains to be seen if they can do a better job of stretching the field with deep throws to keep up with the scoring shootouts. Now, as I'm saying, if Tua's there, if Tua's on and all, that could be some type of that could be a shootout. Good luck trying to cover Tyreek Hill and Jaylen Waddle. two freaking phenomenal wide receivers, right? Then we got to play the Buffalo Bills, okay? You know they're going to be tough. Yeah, but you know this is going to be Shane and Dable going up against the Bills and Bean and Allen. That's going to be, right? That's going to be like kind of clash of the Titans here, okay? So, I mean, once again, that's going to be a tough one, right? Then we're going to play the 49ers, right? That's going to be a tough one, without question. The 49ers boast another juggernaut roster. Team looking to pick up where it left off last year before being toppled by the Philadelphia Eagles, right? Of the Giants' 2023 opponents, the 49ers have the highest projected win total at 11.5, according to the odds makers, okay? So, I mean, so the Giants, I mean, there's some, I mean, the 49ers is going to be a tough one. The Bills is going to be a tough one. The Dolphins going to be a tough one. The Raiders, I mean, every game's tough. You just can't walk into the stadium and say, well, we're here. We're just give us the game. We won. No, even teams like the Raiders, right? It's you're going to have to go out there and win it, right? The Saints, Derek Carr, good quarterback, okay? And they have a good defense. The Green Bay Packers, we might have the upper hand maybe in that one a little bit. The Seahawks, going to be tough, right? They won last year. Going to be tough to win this year against the Seahawks. The Cardinals, they look like a team in flux, okay? Then we got the Rams, okay? They seem like a little bit maybe on a downward spiral there. The Patriots, a little bit on a downward spiral. You got the Jets, who's going to be the quarterback, right? But regardless, it's New York. It doesn't matter what the records are. You throw the records out the book. It's going to be a slugfest, right, against the Jets, right? 2 games against the Eagles, 2 games against the Cowboys, and then 2 against the Commanders. And as I said, just because the Commanders might be on a down season or whatever, right? Don't be chalking up just 2 victories against the Commanders. Happy Bunny Day. Yeah, you too, Terrence. Happy Easter. Yeah. But, I mean, a lot of it's got to do, and as I said, if you ever listen to Bob Papa is smart, sharp as a frickin' tack. He's the radio voice of the New York Giants. And one thing I've always taken away from him is, guys, I don't know everything. You know what I mean? But when you hear some knowledge, some nuggets from other people who know more than you do, you just take a little bit of it, and hope. And every now and then I actually remember what I'm listening to, right? But if you ever listen to Bob Papa and have him go over the schedule, and if he's going to go over like the win-loss totals and stuff like that, especially when he's talking to Carl Banks, they have like a podcast where Bob's on the one. I think it's Believe in Blue or something like that. Believe in Giants might be. Believe in Giants, I think it is. But when he's talking to Carl Banks, okay, you listen to Bob say, he's like, Carl, I say it's not who you play, it's when you play them, right? I mean, I said, yeah, is everybody healthy? I'm saying if we're playing the Eagles, if everybody's healthy on the Eagles, and even if everybody's healthy on the Giants, the Eagles have the upper hand without question, okay? We have a hard time beating the Cowboys, but if everybody's healthy on the Giants, say the game is the third or fourth game of the season, the game's in New York, everybody's healthy, but for some reason the Cowboys have 6 of their starters out on offense, or what I just say, Dak's out, ABCD Lamb's out, 3 of their offensive linemen are out, they're all banged up. The Giants might have the upper hand in that one. But at the beginning of the season, you're like, well, I don't know. The Giants are going to have a hard time beating the Cowboys. It's not, it's necessarily it's when you play them. Right? As I said, you're playing. Are you a dome stadium team who has to throw the ball? Okay, but then you come to the Giants stadium and you have to play the Giants the final game of the season in wind and snow, and you got to run the ball. Well, say the Giants have a great run defense. Say the Giants have a great running the ball, or right, whatever, right? And you're a dome. Say I don't know. The Falcons. They have to throw the ball, but they come and play the Giants. Advantage Giants. So it's tough. I mean, I can certainly see without question the Giants, getting getting up around, once again, certainly around their eight or 9 wins again, maybe 10. I hey, do I want them to go 15-2? Hell yeah. I mean, is it going to happen? Probably not. As I said, especially because there's one good thing and one bad thing, okay? The one good thing, okay, is that hopefully, knock on wood, the injuries will be a little less because the field, the turf got changed. Hopefully we won't have those ACL injuries, right? Like Sterling Shepard just kind of running out 10 yards on a pattern. Boom, his season's over. What happened to him? He just, or when Blake Martinez tried to tackle Cordarrelle Patterson, the Falcons 2 seasons ago, Cordarrelle caught a little pass out of the backfield from Matty Ice. Caught a pass, right? Put a move on Blake. Cordarrelle went that way, then he went this way. Blake Martinez tried to, I guess, counter the move, and his knee just blew out, and he's laying on it. You know what I mean? So hopefully, the injuries will be a little bit better for the Giants. Hopefully, okay. It would be nice if one time in the next 300,000 years that the Giants actually got some good news in the injury front, right? So that's the good news. The bad news is that it's, if we're going back and forth with these 1-score games, it's just, we'll just win. Yeah. We had 13 games. Well, actually it was 14, but the one was a tie. So, but the Giants, I think, including the playoffs, were 9-4 in 1-score games. That's tough to do. I mean, you just can't, we'll win 9 out of every 13 1-score. Yeah, no. Said one blown call here, one bad bounce there, and that 1-score game goes the other way. So that's pretty tough. You know what I mean? If the Giants were beating everybody by 20 points last year, I could, okay, you'd feel better. But, it's tough to win all those 1-score games all the time consistently. So it can go either way. But, I mean, I could certainly see, especially if the Giants have a nice draft, I mean, I could certainly see, certainly another 9 wins at least. As I said, I mean, there's a chance where the team can actually get better and their record may not really improve that much, right? If everything goes well, I mean, I said I could certainly see him winning maybe 9 or 10 games without question. But, once again, we'll have to wait and see with the draft, But the biggest thing also is they have to, that you can't win one game in a division. You just can't do that. I mean, you can't go with the 1-4-1, And as I said, I mean, the one game against the first game against the Commanders outgained the Giants, outpassed them, outrushed them, out everything them, right? And then you look at the game 2 against the Commanders. If Kayvon Thibodeau doesn't strip sack Taylor Heineke, I call him Heineken all the time, and pick the ball up and run for a touchdown, the Giants might lose that game too, right? So, right, one bounce of the ball here, one bounce of the ball there. So, but the Giants, if the Giants really want to make a mark, and especially in this division, or have a good, good chance to get to the playoffs, they got to win at least 3 games in the division. However they're going to do it. Beat the Commanders twice, Cowboys once, beat the Commanders once, Cowboys once, Eagles once, whatever, but they got to win 3 games. I mean, that's, it's tough to hardly win a game in your own division and expect to make the playoffs. That's really, really tough. Well, guys, it's been 48 minutes. Somebody gave me a thumbs up. Thank you. Terrence, hey, happy Bunny Day to you, buddy, too. And I said, anybody spent any time watching this? Thank you. If anybody spends any time watching a replay of this, once again, thank you. I can use all the help I can get, guys. Thank you so much. And as always, you guys stay safe out there and go Giants! Woo! Oh, yeah.